You are cared for. Regardless of your age, your background, your nationality, there is always a community of people that will care for you, and it's a beautiful thing when you're able to find that community. And we would be fortunate if you would let us be your community.
You Are Cared For is an initiative run by Black Girls Glow with the aim of using art, music, and pop culture as a sexual health advocacy tool.
Be comfortable. I want to do this, but I don't want to do that. There's never enough consent, and there's never too much. It's an ongoing conversation.
My aim with this project is to ensure that sexual health becomes a public health priority in Ghana particularly. And that means that sexual health has to be normalized. And you don't just wait until a child hits 18 before you teach them sexual health. You start from a young age with appropriate knowledge.
People think about sex education as just sex, man and a woman, but it's more than that. It's sexual health, your body, how to protect yourself from predators and things like that. And most people don't consider that.
So adulting, but as a sex-active person, sex-active human, whatever.
I don't think that Ghanaians are very honest with ourselves when it comes to sexual health and reproductive rights. We seem to think people learn just like by growing, but that's not true. You kind of need someone to walk you through it. You need someone to explain what even sexuality is to you. What does reproductive health rights even mean?
So I'm thinking we start with like a call out, right? The boobies, titties, melons, twins, tatas, and we all come into like a harmony of
Okay. For this group, I think we worked on finding a rhythm first of all, identifying what our strengths were in terms of songwriting, melody, and all of that stuff, and putting all of that together. It did take a while for us to catch on, but we had an hour, so we did our best, and it came out nicely. So I think the experience this time was it took some time to get used to, but we found the way.
It's one thing to write from like what you feel and what you want to express, and then it's a whole different thing when you have the target audience in mind before you even start writing, because it feels like there's like already a limited number of ways that this could go, and it's a little more restrictive. But restriction is not always a bad thing, because it can force you to like expand your creativity.
It's a taboo word, arousal. The whole concept of arousal is a taboo word. So it's important that whatever you create has to be catchy, has to be likable.
I think one of my favorite things about Black Girls Glow is just how quickly people are able to create, given like very few prompts and very few direction. As a small-time writer, I know how difficult it is to like come up with content on the fly.
I was part of the first BGG group, so I'm kind of used to the pressure of having to write something so intense under a short time period, but it still doesn't take away from that pressure, because I mean you're tackling like really intense topics or concepts, right? And you have to make sure that you try to fit everything in that short time frame that you have. So it's a bit of a challenge, but like I said, it's not my first time, so you just kind of move with it. Yeah.
I'm gonna put this down. Love that breast, teardrops all round. Asymmetrical, relaxed, athletic, east and west, no size generic. Your breast be flexed, and baby, if you're flat chested, no stress. Puberty's a bitch, but she does know best. They come in different sizes and come in different shapes, come in different types, shape shift through age.
I have to consider the fact that I'm writing as somebody who's still new to the topic of sex, trying to guide somebody who doesn't know about it towards it. So I feel like it's a journey that has to be as simple as possible for me and the person. And I try to keep that in mind. It's not easy. And I don't consider myself a sex expert in any way, shape, and form, but I do believe that sex education is important. Am I just supposed to, do it? Are you talking about sex? Someone might hear you. So, sex isn't shameful. But what if I don't want to? You don't have to.
I came to it a little bit apprehensive.
Captain Clit to the rescue. Captain Clit's lair.
Ooh, do you know what we could do?
Let's
You could
have
do
it.
like an ad.
Because I knew of a lot of the people, but I hadn't really worked with them before, save only like one or two. So I always have this like a bit of trepidation when I'm coming into a new project. But then I get there and then like I feel the vibes and then I'm just like, okay, this will be okay. This is fine.
I would say in the beginning when I first stepped into BGG, I had absolutely no experience with working in a group, collaborating. That was very new to me. I was used to recording on my own and kind of knowing my own process. But I did realize the power of numbers and working together. And being here now, having had that experience 3 years ago, I find a lot of confidence and I feel a lot of sisterhood within the team now that we're working. So everything's moving very smoothly and I love that.
So when I started with BGG in 2018, that was my first time in a full studio. And we were kind of thrown into the deep end and we were forced to trust each other and it worked. I think it's the fight or flight, sink or swim thing. And now, I guess 3 years later, I've had much more experience and there's already that built-in trust. So everyone feels grown, everything feels mature. We kind of know where we are going and it feels more substantial.
I would venture to say that it's even more intensive because we're people from different BGG residencies and years. We had to meet on one day and form those bonds in a day, especially because we were rotating partners. So you have to form the bonds while you're working and to be able to produce something great out of that. Is also something that's very interesting.
Are you suffering from lack of orgasm? Do you find it difficult to become aroused during foreplay? Does nobody seem to understand your needs? Sounds like you're not paying enough attention to your clitoris.
I think it's more millennials and above.
18 plus?
18 plus.
Wait, what was the first one that we just did?
The one that we
did
just did was
11
with
to
teenagers.
17.
Sort of Gen Z-ish downwards. These are like...
So what, are we
older.
talking to ourselves?
Yeah.
So yeah, Gen Z
Okay.
and
Older.
millennials,
Yourself
yeah.
and older, and
Yeah.
10, 20 years older than you.
Mature
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah.
We had to like cater to kids and teenagers before like thinking about our mature audiences. So it was a different kind of challenging but I enjoyed it because it is sharpening my creativity, you know.
It might be hard to explain to somebody who hasn't had much formal education what a clitoris is. If you show them a picture or tell them where it is, it might be easier for you to know that, okay, this is a part of my body and this is something that I have, not just, oh, this random feeling just comes and goes. Am I cursed?
Different age groups absorb things differently. What a 9-year-old will absorb and how they will absorb it will not be the same as a teenager or an adult. Like even in the pitches in our voice, just that as a distinguisher will attract a child more than it will attract a teenager or an adult. So I think that was a very important distinguisher for me.
Yes, yes, yes. Consent is a happy yes. Consent is a big yes. Consent is a continuing yes. It's not just yes. Consent is a happy conversation. Consent you should always ask for permission. Consent sometimes it's in your body language.
Using art, sound, music, anything is an effective way to communicate such topics because they're very serious. Look at us right now. Not many people want to listen to serious things. We don't have the attention span anymore, but we still have the attention span for like music and reading and arts, things that we actually love and value. So I think it's a great channel to do all this. Yeah.
Can I get an old daddy? Oh daddy, yes! Yes!
Personally, I think that pop culture is one of the best ways to educate the masses. It does not feel as exclusionary or as restrictive as, for example, sitting in a classroom.
Oh, Jessie, you were doing it for a second. I mean, not well, but... Okay, I'm sorry, but it just feels like nothing is good enough for you.
Ladies, we are getting off track
Yeah,
here.
but she's so sensitive. Would you prefer a numb vagina?
No.
Because I can make that happen. Just forget it. I have to pee. Fine. Can you please remember to wipe?
We're working on this project hinged on popular culture. And I think that especially as the pandemic is here to stay, as COVID is here to stay, we have seen the evidence of what art can do. I think it is very relevant, especially in a space where everything else has been tried, where the direct things have been tried, the educational things have been tried, the policy things have been tried, every other things have been tried. And so I think it's worth it to give art a chance. Like, what can art do that all these other things couldn't have done?
So based on what I know of the general Ghanaian populace, I am expecting a lot of scandalized people. Like, who said it was okay to, make songs about this? And at the same time, I know that it's going to be, like, ironic to the point of maybe even hypocritical, because like a lot of our songs in popular culture treat these topics anyway, but not necessarily from the educational perspective, from an entertainment one. If we can be comfortable with Abuwa Kunkuntimba, which is about pedophilia, I don't see why educated about sexual health and consent ought to be a problem.
Hi everyone, my name is Captain Clit, and I exist just for your pleasure.
Yes, you do.
If people take their time to really listen to the message, they would know that we are coming from a very good place, and we mean so well for especially the kids growing up. Yeah.
How about the negative feedback there? Even if the topic wasn't something that is quote-unquote taboo, would have gotten it anyway. But I feel that Ghana is, especially with like the youth now, Ghana is starting to move in a bit more of a progressive space.
I think people are used to the BGG line of work and what we do, which is tackling these socially conscious issues through music, through art. So I don't have expectations for reactions. I just know that I guess maybe people will have a different reaction because of the topic, but then ideally that's what we do, right? Yeah.
The goal is quite clear. I think within minutes of hearing any of the songs that we've worked on, you can tell the impacts that it's trying to make. So yeah, there are no two questions about it. It is what it is. It is impactful, it is here, and it matters. That's all.
To me, especially in Ghana, I feel like this project is going to go far to teach kids about what our parents could not teach us as kids. There are so many things that we had to learn on our own through the internet and so on, and it's not fair that we had to learn it through that way. They weren't able to say because of the taboo. There shouldn't be taboos around all these topics that we are going to be doing.
It's getting the conversation started. It's going to be broadcasted to the general public, so they're going to see it whether they decide to or not. And even though there might be backlash, the good thing is that people will start talking about it and we can stop seeing it as a taboo subject.
Firstly, because there's nothing that we have. Like, I remember the whole mess about when they're trying to introduce the syllabus, how that went out, and the fact that there's nothing on the ground that people can use to educate people. And I think at the first point, we can curb many of these incidents by just educating or just letting people be aware of, just kids in general, ages upwards, be aware of these things, these different parts of their bodies, is a great step to helping them or helping us just like eradicate or bring down the levels. I think this project is going to be very impactful. I think if it's taken in or accepted the way that we intend it to be accepted, it's going to help change the narrative around many conversations and many situations. Yeah.
It's definitely a start. I think it's a seed that we are planting right now. So as long as it continues to be watered and taken care of, I think it will grow.
Bringing love out of the hurt.